In a city where power meant everything, one man controlled it all.
Victor Dante.
He ruled the underground world with an iron fist, feared by thousands, respected by everyone. His empire stretched across every corner of the city. Nightclubs, warehouses, politicians in his pocket, police who looked the other way. But even kings can fall. For 20 years, Victor never walked alone. Always surrounded by armed men. Always protected. Always watching. But success makes men comfortable. And comfort makes them careless. Victor broke his own rule. He wanted to feel normal. Just once. To walk down a street like any other man. To buy coffee without 10 bodyguards. To remember what freedom felt like. The morning sun felt warm on his face. He carried a newspaper. Wore a simple jacket. No one recognized him. For the first time in decades, he was invisible. Anonymous.
Free.
Then 3 shadows appeared in the alley. Street thugs.
Young.
Hungry. Dangerous. They saw an older man alone. An easy target. They didn't recognize the king. They only saw prey. The leader demanded his watch. His wallet. His dignity. Victor fought back. He'd been a fighter once. Strong.
Quick. Deadly.
But that was 20 years ago. Now he was older.
Slower.
His body remembered the moves, but couldn't execute them fast enough. One thug fell. Then another landed a punch to Victor's ribs. He tasted blood. His vision blurred. 3 against 1 was too much. Even for a king. He hit the ground hard. Concrete against a skull. Blood pooling beneath his cheek. This was it. The great Victor Dante, about to die in a filthy alley. Forgotten. Alone.
Pathetic.
Then footsteps. Light. Confident. A woman appeared. She was ordinary. Simple clothes. Hair pulled back. Calm eyes. Mid-30s. Nothing special. Nothing threatening. She told them to stop. The thugs laughed. Mocked her. Advanced on her like wolves. Then she moved. Like lightning. Like water. Like death itself. Her fists flew faster than Victor's eyes could track. Boxing.
Pure. Perfect.
Lethal. One punch, and the first thug crumpled. A combination, and the second went down. The third tried to run. She swept his legs. Elbow to his temple. Unconscious before he hit the ground. 30 seconds. 3 men down. She wasn't even breathing hard. Victor stared up at her from the ground, blood dripping from his mouth. She extended her hand. Their eyes met. Brown eyes.
Clear. Honest.
Fearless. Time stopped. In that moment, Victor Dante learned something he'd forgotten. Sometimes salvation comes when you least expect it. Sometimes angels appear in the darkest places. Sometimes the person who saves your life changes it forever. Victor's mansion rose like a fortress. Marble columns. Gold fixtures. Priceless paintings. The spoils of 20 years ruling the shadows. Everything money could buy. Everything except what mattered. He sat in his study, expensive scotch in hand, fresh stitches on his face. She sat across from him, refusing tea, refusing comfort, back straight, guard up. Her name was Sarah. That's all she'd said. Just Sarah. Victor studied her like he studied everyone, looking for weakness, for leverage, for the thing that would make her bend. But she was a fortress too. Walls high, gate locked, unbreakable. He offered her a job, personal bodyguard, $1 million a year. More money than she'd see in a lifetime. She refused, said she didn't work for criminals. He called himself a businessman. She called him a liar.
Direct. Honest.
Brutal. No one had spoken to him like that in 20 years. He found himself smiling. Actually smiling. He doubled the offer. $2 million. Freedom. Her own quarters. Total independence. She stood to leave. Told him she wasn't for sale. Then he played his card. $3 million. Plus funding for the community center in her neighborhood. The one shutting down next month. Where local kids learned to box. Where they learned discipline. Purpose.
Hope.
where she'd learned to fight, where her father had taught her that the world hits hard and you have to learn to hit back. She froze, turned slowly, eyes wide,
Shocked.
Victor knew everything in this city. Every secret, every weakness, every pressure point. He'd done his research in the hour between her saving him and this conversation. Sarah Mitchell, former Golden Gloves champion, worked 3 jobs, volunteered at the center every evening, lived alone, kept to herself. Clean record. Good person.
Rare.
He made his pitch. She saves him. He saves the center. The kids get their future. She gets paid enough to quit her other jobs. Everyone wins. Except she'd be working for the man she despised. Living in the house of a monster. Protecting the life of someone who represented everything wrong with the city. Her jaw tightened. Fists clenched.
Trapped.
Cornered. Forced to choose between her principles and the children who needed her. She agreed. But her eyes promised that this wasn't over. This was war. Just a different kind. The guardian became the prisoner. And the prisoner became the saved. 3 weeks passed like a slow burn. Sarah followed Victor everywhere. Silent. Professional.
Deadly.
A shadow with a heartbeat. He went to meetings, she stood by the door. He ate dinner, she watched from the corner. He slept, she guarded his hallway. She was perfect at her job. Too perfect. Like a machine. No emotion. No reaction. Just cold efficiency. But Victor noticed things. The way she winced when his associates talked about their crimes. The way her hand tightened on her weapon when they laughed about violence. The way she looked at him sometimes when she thought he wasn't watching. Confusion.
Curiosity.
Conflict. Late nights became routine. Victor worked until dawn. Sarah stood guard. The silence between them grew heavy. Loaded. Electric. One night, he told her she could sit. She refused. Always standing. Always ready. Always in control. He asked her why. Why boxing? Why this life?
Why so much control?
At first, she stayed silent. Professional distance. But something in his voice made her answer. Maybe exhaustion. Maybe loneliness. Maybe the late hour when defenses crumble. Her father taught her. Before he died. Before the world took him. He said life hits hard. You have to learn to hit back. Stand up. Keep fighting. Never quit. Victor's expression changed.
Softened.
The first crack in his armor. He asked what happened. How her father died. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Wrong place. Wrong time. Gang war 7 years ago.
Crossfire. He was just buying bread.
Just living his life. Then he was gone. Blood on the sidewalk. Another statistic. Another body in a city that produced them daily. Victor looked down at his hands. Guilt crawled across his face. Regret. Something human beneath the monster. He knew that war. That year. That violence. His violence. 2 broken people. Same city. Same scars. Different sides of the same bloody coin. Both wondering how they ended up here. In this room. In this moment. Together. The charity gala sparkled with false light. Rich people pretending to care. Criminals in expensive suits. Politicians selling smiles. Victor's world in all its rotten glory. He wore a black tuxedo. She wore a black dress, borrowed from his staff, uncomfortable in her own skin. She looked beautiful, dangerous, out of place. Men stared. Victor noticed. His jaw clenched. Possessive. Protective. Confused by his own reaction. Marcus Stone approached. Rival boss. Smooth smile. Dead eyes. Dangerous in ways Victor recognized. He commented on Victor's new bodyguard. Called her pretty. Demeaning. Dismissive. Sarah responded with ice. Sharp words. Clear threat. Marcus backed down, but his eyes promised revenge. Humiliation doesn't forgive. Pride doesn't forget. Victor warned her. Don't provoke him. Too dangerous. She fired back. Don't let him disrespect you. Show strength. They stood inches apart. Music swelling. Tension crackling. His hand moved toward her face. almost touching, almost crossing the line, then stopped, hanging in the air between them. He whispered that she was making this difficult. His voice rough,
honest,
vulnerable. She asked what? Making what difficult? Her breath shallow, heart racing. Before he could answer, the window exploded.
gunfire,
Glass raining, screams, chaos, death arriving at the party. Sarah moved on instinct, tackled him, covered his body with hers. Bullets flying overhead,
her weight on his chest,
her hands protecting his head, their faces inches apart, his hand gripping her waist, her breath on his lips. Time froze in the space between heartbeats, between danger and safety, between duty and desire.
Something changed.
Something shifted, something irreversible. They escaped through the back exit, ran to the car, drove in silence, both breathing hard, adrenaline pumping, but something else too, something neither wanted to name. 2 a.m. Victor stood on his balcony, scotch in hand, city lights stretching to the horizon. His empire, his prison, his lonely kingdom. Sarah found him there, told him to come inside.
Safer.
He said he couldn't sleep. She admitted the same, joined him at the railing.
Close.
Too close. Dangerous. Silence stretched between them. Comfortable. Terrifying. He said she hated him. Statement, not question. She confirmed.
Yes.
Simple.
Honest.
He asked why she kept saving him then. Tonight.
The alley.
Every day since. She said it was her job. But her voice wavered. Uncertain. He turned to face her. Asked if that's all it was. Really? Truly?
Just a job.
She looked away. First time she'd broken eye contact first. Vulnerable.
Scared.
Human. She whispered that she didn't know anymore. Didn't know what this was. What she felt. What was real. Victor moved closer. Slowly. Giving her time to run. To leave.
To save herself from this.
From him. He confessed. He'd done terrible things. Unforgivable things. Things that haunted him in the dark. But when he was with her, he wanted to be better. Wanted to be the man she deserved. Wanted to be worthy of her sacrifice. Her presence. Her eyes. Tears formed in hers. She said he couldn't erase the past with words. Couldn't buy redemption. Couldn't pretend to be good. He agreed. Knew it. Felt it. But maybe he could start trying. Maybe he could change. One day at a time. One choice at a time. One moment at a time.
He took her hand. Gently. Carefully.
Asking permission without words. She didn't pull away. Didn't run.
Didn't choose safety.
Their fingers intertwined. Fragile connection. Dangerous bridge. Real intimacy. She leaned her head on his shoulder. Surrendering. Trusting.
Falling.
He wrapped his arm around her.
Holding.
Protecting. Loving. Love doesn't ask permission. Doesn't wait for the right time. Doesn't make sense. It just happens. Even in the darkest places. Even between the most unlikely people. Even when it's the worst possible idea. They stood there until dawn. 2 broken people. Finding something whole. Something true. Something worth fighting for. Morning shattered the peace. Sarah's phone buzzed. Unknown number.
Cold voice.
Marcus Stone. He knew everything about her. Full name. Boxing history. Her father. His death. Every detail. Every wound. He offered information she'd want. Truth she needed. Answers she'd been seeking for 7 years. They met in an abandoned warehouse. He showed her file. Photos. Documents. Evidence. All carefully arranged. All perfectly damning. Victor ordered the hit. Her father saw something he shouldn't have. A deal. A betrayal. A murder. Victor doesn't leave witnesses. Never has. Never will. The photos showed a younger Victor. Harder. Colder. Giving orders. Her father's crime scene. The blood. The body. The end of her world. Sarah's hands shook. Vision blurred. Heart shattered into pieces. Everything she'd felt. Everything she'd started to believe. All lies. Marcus explained gently. Poisonously. Victor had been using her. The community center was guilt money. He knew what he'd taken from her. Knew and said nothing. Kept her close. Controlled her. Manipulated her love. Her world collapsed. Trust evaporated. Love curdled into rage.
Pure.
Consuming. Unstoppable. She stormed into Victor's office.
Threw the photos on his desk.
Demanded the truth. Screamed for it. Begged for him to call it a lie. Victor looked at the photos. His face went pale.
Guilty. Caught.
Cornered. She demanded answers. Voice breaking. Heart breaking. Soul breaking. He tried to explain. Said he didn't know it was her father until after he hired her. When he found out, he tried to protect her.
Keep her safe. Make it right. She asked how. How do you make murder right?
How do you buy forgiveness for taking someone's world? How do you lie to someone's face while knowing what you've done? He said he was trying to protect her. From the truth. From himself. From the monster he'd been. She pulled her gun. Aimed at his heart. Hand shaking. Tears streaming. Love and hate twisted together into something unrecognizable. Asked for one reason not to end this. End him. End the pain. Victor looked into her eyes. Tears falling. Surrendering. He had no reason. No defense. No excuse. If this was what she needed, he understood. If justice demanded his death, he'd accept it. From her hands.
As it should be.
They stood frozen. Gun between them. 7 years of grief. 3 months of love. One impossible choice. Before Sarah could decide, the wall exploded. Marcus and his men poured through. Guns raised. Smiling. Triumphant. Marcus revealed his plan. He needed Victor dead. Needed Sarah as his weapon. Showed her the photos not from kindness, but from strategy. She'd brought Victor here. Alone.
Broken.
Vulnerable.
Perfect.
He ordered his men to kill them both. Sarah had served her purpose.
Victor would die.
Marcus would take the empire. Everyone wins. Except them. Sarah made a choice. Instinct. Heart.
Soul.
She turned her gun on Marcus's men. Started firing. Victor grabbed a weapon. They fought back. Together. Side by side. Like a dance they'd always known. Like they were made for this moment. Bullets flew. Bodies fell. They moved in perfect sync. She covered his weak side. He covered hers. Trust without thought. Connection without words. Partnership forged in fire. They took cover together. Reloading. Eyes meeting. His expression asking why. Why save him? Why choose him? Why forgive? Her answer was fierce. Possessive. Powerful. Because he was hers to kill. Not Marcus's. Not anyone else's. Hers. Her revenge. Her choice. Her love. Victor almost smiled.
Sad.
Grateful. Understanding. The fight continued. Brutal. Beautiful.
Desperate.
They won.
Barely.
Marcus escaped. Wounded but alive. A problem for another day. Aftermath settled like dust. Smoke.
Blood.
Silence. Sarah and Victor stood facing each other. Gun still in her hand. Choice still unmade. Victor spoke first.
Exhausted. Honest. Complete.
He apologized for her father. For everything. For the man he'd been. Colder. Emptier. Darker. He couldn't undo it. Couldn't erase it.
Could only be better now.
Because of her. For her. With her. Sarah cried. Openly. Fully. Said he'd taken everything from her. Everything that mattered. He agreed. Knew it.
Felt it.
Carried it. She said he'd also given her a reason to live again. Purpose. Connection.
Love.
And she didn't know which was stronger. The hate or the love. The past or the future. The pain or the hope. She lowered the gun. Stepped forward.
Kissed him.
Desperate. Angry. Passionate. Forgiving. He pulled her close. Years of loneliness breaking. Years of guilt shattering. Years of emptiness filling. When they separated, both were crying. Both were laughing. Both were free. Love isn't about deserving. It's about choosing. Every single day. Even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. Especially when it makes no sense. Especially when the world says no. 3 months later, Victor walked into a police station. Sarah beside him. Always beside him now. He confessed to everything. 17 murders. Dozens of crimes. Names.
Dates.
Evidence. Everything documented. Everything exposed. Everything paid for. The detective asked why.
Why now?
Why confess? Why throw away everything? Victor looked at Sarah. She nodded. Encouraging. Loving. Waiting. He said it was time. Time to face what he'd done. Time to pay the price. Time to earn the redemption he'd been claiming. Not with words. Not with money. Not with gestures. With action. With sacrifice. With justice. Sarah told him she'd wait. However long it took. However many years. She'd be there. Because he was trying. Because change matters. Because love endures. Victor stared at her.
Shocked.
Overwhelmed. Unworthy. Grateful. He said he didn't deserve her. Didn't deserve her loyalty. Didn't deserve her love. She smiled through tears. Agreed. Probably not. But he was stuck with her anyway. Forever. Always. No matter what. He kissed her forehead. Long, gentle. Memorizing. Promising. The officers led him away. He looked back once. She placed her hand over her heart. Their signal. Their promise. Their forever. Justice demands a price. Redemption requires sacrifice. But love pays it. Together. Always together. 5 years passed. Prison visiting room. Gray walls. Hard chairs. Thick glass. Victor sat on one side. Older. Peaceful.
Changed.
Sarah entered. Slid papers across the table. Parole. Approved. 6 months until release. His eyes filled with tears.
Hope.
Disbelief. Gratitude. She explained. The community center was still open. Bigger now. 50 kids learning to box. Learning discipline. Learning to fight back against a world that hits hard. His money did that. His choice. His redemption. She corrected him. They did that. Together. She smiled.
Real. Full.
Complete.
Happy.
6 months until they could start over. Clean slate. Honest life. Together. Always together. He repeated the word like a prayer. Together. 2 broken people. Rebuilt. Stronger at the broken places. Proof that people can change. That love can heal. That redemption is possible. Even in the darkest places. Even for the worst people. Even when it seems impossible. Everyone talks about second chances. Maybe they're real. Maybe they're earned. Maybe some people create their own redemption. One choice at a time. One sacrifice at a time. One love at a time. One day at a time. Until the past fades and the future shines and the present becomes something beautiful. Final shot. Sunset over the city. Buildings glowing. Hope rising. 2 shadows visible in the prison window. Hands pressed together against the glass. Connected. Forever. Unbreakable.